really appreciate the time you're taking to clarify the issue and learning more about what we do. I have been following you for a very long time,
Oh,
so
good.
when I saw your post, I was like, okay, well, hopefully they correct the story, and you did, and that's when I reached out to you.
So, David, this week, or at least over the weekend, the gray team showed up in some viral social media pictures, but not in the way that we would have hoped for. It started off sort of as people questioning why were the Marines at Mar-a-Lago and what type of event was this? And then come to find out, it was for an incredible organization like yourself, the gray team that helps with PTSD related suicide prevention.
So thank you for meeting with me and for clarifying the news disparities between Newsweek and whatever else is on social media currently.
Yeah.
So the organization wasn't started by me, it was started by an Army veteran by the name of Kerry Reichbach.
Mm-hmm.
He served in the Army, his father served in the Army, and his son served in the Army until recently, and he just got out as a sergeant. And the reason why he started it was because the suicide epidemic kept on rising. He kept on going to funeral after funeral for his own battle buddies, as we call them in the military.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, it's disheartening. It's
Mm-hmm.
disheartening that every year or so you go to a friend's funeral because they took their own lives. They
Mm-hmm.
leave gaps in their families, leaves gaps in the community, and that's a life loss because there was not enough services out there to combat that issue. The veterans that were taking their own lives had no hope. That's the common thing that we kept on hearing as we served veterans in our community. So in 2016, Kerry and his co-founder Logan Skis decided to start this journey together to try and heal not only themselves but members of their community in order to reduce the impact that suicidal ideation and suicide issues were causing within the community and try and find solutions around them, whether it was from transcendental meditation to innovative tools such as photobiomodulation therapy, electromagnetic therapy, and that's how Gray Team started. And we have been in existence since then, and we have served almost 830 veterans to date.
Can you tell me a little bit about the gray technique for helping folks who are experiencing suicidal ideation?
Of course, so we serve men and women who served in the
Mm-hmm.
military or currently serving. So we support military reservists, National Guardsmen, and active duty personnel.
Oh.
So our approach is innovative. Everyone gets a personalized solution in order to combat whatever is going on psychologically, physically, emotionally, even sometimes hormonally, so
Mm.
that they can have a better outcome. So we look at the veteran or the service member as a whole person. So it's a little different than what the VA does because they are mandated by strict medical guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the tools and services that we offer are approved by the FDA, so such as photobiomodulation therapy or electromagnetic therapy
Mm.
through our use of the pure wave vibroacoustic electromagnetic infrared bed, VAMI for
Mm.
short, to help veterans sleep, right? Little things like that make a huge difference in healing a veteran
Mm-hmm.
because if a veteran can sleep, the anxiety goes down, depression goes down, and everything that's going on wrong with the body can improve over the course of their therapy. So our program, what we call our secret sauce, is called Operation Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
So we started that in October of 2019, right before the pandemic started. And we launched that program in order to get veterans out of their homes. That's one.
Mm-hmm.
Main thing for suicidal ideation is self-isolation, self-imposed or forced.
Mm.
So when a veteran is isolated and they have all these other health concerns, psychological concerns, and reintegration concerns, suicide is a more likely option. I cannot tell
Mm.
you how many suicide prevention calls I've had over the last 6 years since I've been involved with the organization.
Mm.
And we needed to combat that by any means necessary. So this is where Operation Phoenix, which comes from not only research and development that we have done, we also are involved with Florida Atlantic University, Lynn University, University of Florida, and other major universities in order to research and combat this crisis that we're currently going through. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if you or your audience are aware, but the DoD and Duke University did a study in 2022, which they published, and it has been found that 44 service members and active duty personnel take their own lives per day.
Wow.
44 is a staggering number.
Mm.
Usually people hear 22,
Mm.
17,
Mm-hmm.
13. Those are not the realistic figures when it comes to veteran suicide because suicide sometimes can be delayed. It
Right.
could be using alcohol as a means to cope, using drugs, and then you overdose. And sometimes those things don't happen right away. So we want to get to veterans before they get to that suicidal ideation point, before they contemplate self-harm. So this is where our program comes into play and why we're so successful. We have never lost a veteran to suicide in the last 6 years that we've been in operation, or since 2016, rather.
That's incredible and so important. Another thing that I admire about your organization is you do have a dedicated staff of medical professionals and doctors who are helping make sure that, the folks who are doing the exercise science part have that part. One of the fellows on your team, who is, I believe, the director of medicine, also specializes in hair transplant, which initially I was like, that's so interesting. How did that come to be? But then they were talking about sometimes the way that you feel about yourself might be that you had some sort of hair loss as a result of combat or something like that. And that's really affected your overall confidence, your overall state of being, the way you see yourself when you look in the mirror. And a lot of those things can be stuff that makes people want to give up or feel like they're not worthy. And he's been so instrumental in helping give people back their confidence. Can you tell us a little bit about your medical director?
Of course, so you're talking about Dr. Alan Bauman. So he's one of the top hair care restoration doctors in the world, not just here in the United States, but the world. But outside of his hair care practice, he is very philanthropic and very generous when it comes to our men and women who serve in the armed forces. When a service member comes back scarred, damaged, loss of hair, he donates his services to get them to look and feel their best. I can't tell you how many of the service member that's gone through the Bauman Medical Foundation in order to get their life back on track because they look their best. Believe it or not, the way you look and the way you perceive yourself sometimes can affect how your thought process is. If you can't associate with the person in the mirror, suicide is a more likely option. So that's where he comes into play. But many people don't know this about him, but he is a pioneer in what we call the biohacking space. Being able to undo the test of time, undo the toxins that have been put into the body or the damage that has been done to the body. He was one of the original persons to start using things like photobiomodulation therapy. For those who don't know what it is, or you've seen a little videos on TikTok or YouTube, it helps with the body's cellular restructuring. It helps with energy. It helps with inflammation reduction. It helps with circulation and so many other things. And it's all been studied over the last 60 plus years. So this is nothing new. So Dr. Bauman has been studying medicine for a very long time and in the holistic and biohacking space as well. So he came on as a medical or voluntary medical director. He doesn't get paid. I just want to let everybody know that. There are only 2 paid employees here. That's myself and our marketing director. And everyone else is a volunteer. So 100% of the funds raised by Gray Team goes back to the veteran by providing them a safe space to come and gather and gain comfort, by providing them with the free resources, always free. We never charge any veteran anything, despite their income, military status in some cases. We do take those who are dishonorably discharged on a case-by-case basis, depending on what their discharge says. If you committed murder in the military, can't
Probably
help you.
not,
But
yeah.
if it's something else, because we have found that veterans who suffered a traumatic brain injury, whether it's from an IED blast, an EMP blast, or whatever, what happened in duty, their personalities can change. So now they're more combative, they're more argumentative. So now they're discharged, either generally discharged or dishonorably discharged. And I don't find that fair to them. So our board of directors and medical directors came together and said, we will serve all veterans, and we're going to look at the whole veterans from the time they joined the military to the time they got out of the military.
There's another really special guy on the team. It's Carrie's dad, Ed, who is a veteran himself, 93 years old. And tell me a little bit about Ed and how he factors into the overall Gray experience.
Dr. Reichbach, we call him Pop. He loves when everyone calls him Pop because he's the oldest vet that we have. He has been a pillar of support for those young and close to his age group to show that if anyone can achieve their goals, whether despite their age, you can do it. And he's a testament to that. He's been featured on various news programs in order to show that age doesn't matter. The time of service doesn't matter. We're all here to get better, become resilient, and live the best lives that we possibly can. And he's a testament to that. I can't tell you how many times we have a a young soldier or Marine come in and say, hey, I'm broken, there's no hope for me, he'll walk up to that veteran and say, hey, my name is Pop.
Mm-hmm.
I served in the Korean War. Tell me, where did Uncle Sam have you? And he develops this friendship and bond and mentors them, because not only did he join the military, he became part of the 81st Airborne.
Mm.
And after his military service, he became a teacher.
Some of the controversy, if you will, about the photo that circulated, which honestly was so separate from the organization that I'm talking to today, like that drama aside, folks were kind of concerned that it was a partnership with America First Gala Planning Committee. You guys have a partnership with the Christian Salvation Army Group. You've also partnered with the Republican Governor Ron DeSantis. And people were wondering, is this a Republican-led partisan group, or do you also see support from Democrats and liberal politicians? Can you just talk about the community of support that Gray has?
Sure. So Gray Team is nonpartisan. I myself is a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
There's things online saying I'm a Republican. No, I've always been a Democrat since the first day I was eligible to vote. I immigrated here from Jamaica with my parents, and I joined the military as a way to give back to the country that gave me so much. But I've never, ever voted Republican.
Mm-hmm.
Now, part of our committees for our other events are also Democrats. Kerry, our founder and president, he envisioned where the community comes together, whether you vote to the left or the right, it doesn't matter, because veteran suicide doesn't affect one or the other. It's a national issue, it's a national crisis, and we all have to come together. We do work with Congressman Jared Moskowitz, which is a Democrat. It's a local congressman for our district. We do work with Lois Frankel, which is also a Democrat. It doesn't matter what political lines that person falls into. We want to make sure that veterans are taken care of by any means necessary. Because right now, if the suicide rate continues to climb, that's a mother, that's a father, brother, sister, aunt, uncle that's been lost. And we need to make sure that the promise that we gave to the service members who served in our military is kept, whether it's by the community or by the VA or whoever entity wants to support our veterans, we will work with you. It just happens that these other entities step forward and say, we love your mission. We want to help raise funds. We want to contribute to your mission. I welcome anyone, whether you're on the right side of the aisle or the left side of the aisle, to come reach out to me and say, hey, I want to support our veterans. Let's talk about how we best can do so.
I appreciate that so much. I mean, one of the things that the public may not understand is that when you take the oath to serve, you serve an oath to the Constitution, not to the president, not to any particular party or ideology, but to protecting the Constitution from foreign and domestic enemies. And I think that's something that this organization and the work you do can certainly help us to bridge a little bit more of that camaraderie across the aisle, if you will, to say, this is something that's affecting us all, and we all deeply care about the Constitution, even if our interpretations of it and the ways that we should achieve protecting it may differ slightly. At the end of the day, it's about the people at the center of this that you are doing such a great job to serve. And I want to tell you that I am personally going to make a donation to the Gray Team as well. So you've got at least one public, Democratic, liberal, woke-ass donor that'll be coming your way. So we can do that
I appreciate
together.
it. I appreciate any support from anyone. If anyone has any questions about our finances or transparency, I make sure that my team publishes everything. Our 990s are online. For those who don't know what it is, that's our tax form that we submit to the IRS to maintain our tax exempt status. We also are published on GuideStar, Charity Navigator. We make sure that we're 110% transparent with you, those who support us.
Tell folks where they can find you if they want to donate, learn more, or maybe even apply to be a part of the program themselves.
Of course. So I made the website super easy. So it's www.grayteam.org. That's GREYTEAM. And it's a simple click. If you're interested in donating, there's a donate button that's highlighted. If you're a veteran looking for programs and services, it is free. There's no cost to you. And you get all kinds of resources. There's a button that says either veterans or vets. It takes 5 minutes to apply. All we ask that you have your DD-214 with your social security number redacted. And tell us a little bit more about yourself, your service, and what you're looking for from Gray Team.
Excellent. Well, I hope that people do find you. It was a pleasure to meet you. I'm sure that we will stay in touch. And if there's any way that we can be supportive to you in your work in the future, I sure hope you don't hesitate to reach out. And I appreciate you taking this time with us and with the social media audience to say, hey, a mistake was made. It's been righted. Here's some other cool stuff that we can do together to continue this mission forward.